Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a story time for you guys. It is a very touchy subject, so if domestic violence triggers you, please do not watch. This is the warning in the beginning of the video, so you guys don't have to watch that. That will, trigger you. Anyways, without further ado, let me get straight into this video. This happened around the time when I was 12 or 13. I was in middle school. And my cousins and I were very close, and I was very close to my aunt as well, and we had a lot of fun, so I would stay the night a lot at my aunt's house with my cousins. And throughout the summer my cousins would stay a lot at my house, but during school they would go back because they had to catch the bus. So my aunt would take me to school sometimes, or sometimes I would be home, so this lady would take me to school. So around this time, I was staying a lot at my aunt's house, and it was this blue house that they were renting, and they were renting the majority of the house, but they were renting a room to a couple, a very young couple. They were in their early to mid-20s, and it was a Hispanic couple as well. And we didn't really see them because they would either always be in the room or they would always be out, probably working or whatever. I have no clue. So literally me and my cousins would always just be hanging out, after school, talking. And it was nighttime, so it was time for us to sleep. The way the house is set up, it is a very big house. Well, maybe not to you guys, but to a regular family, like, it's a big house because it had a whole bunch of rooms. It had the main floor, which would have the kitchen, it would have the bathroom, the living room, and two doors. And one of the doors was the room where it was their room, the couple's room. And the second door led to the rest of the house, which would be the part of the house that my aunt and uncle would rent. And it had a room as soon as you walk in, and then it had and you walk a little bit more, and then there's another door which was a different room, and next to that door there was a stairway going upstairs, and there was 3 rooms, but it was an attic, but they put walls for it to be 3 different rooms. And there was also a basement, and the basement was the only part of the house that was very not like the rest of the house, because the rest of the house was very modern, very nice, and very pretty, but the basement was very ugly. It was very horror movie vibes, daba miedo, especially this little area where it was a little room closet in the basement, and it just looked very scary, and it had very creepy stuff in there. But anyway, now that you guys know how the house looks, you guys can understand a little bit more where me and my cousin were when this all happened. So it was nighttime, and we were in the room next to the room where they would rent to that young couple. So it was obviously very easy for us to hear anything, and we were sleeping because we had school the next day. And I remember my cousin was waking me up, and she was trying to shake me to wake up, because I wouldn't wake up, because once I'm asleep I'm kind of a heavy sleeper, and she was like, you don't hear that? She sounded very scared, and I was like, hear what? I'm half asleep still, I don't even know what she's talking about. And she was like, listen. I was obviously laying down, and I stood up, and I was trying to wake up a little bit and trying to listen to what the hell she's talking about. So I hear the young couple fighting, and you could hear her crying. You could hear the desperateness in her voice and the fear in her voice, and you can hear him angry, and you can obviously hear him hitting her. And my cousin, she has not really experienced something like that in her life, so that was one of the first times she probably heard something like that. So she started panicking, and she was almost throwing up, because we were very young. We were 13. I was 12 or 13. She was 13 or 14, and obviously she was shooketh, what little kid wants to hear that? It's scary, you don't know what's going on, that girl could be in serious danger. So my cousin's like, oh my gosh, and I was like, just go back to sleep. Because for me, like, I had already experienced something like that, and like it was not my first time like hearing something like that, because I've been around domestic violence, so I wasn't very like shocked or anything. So I just told her, just go back to sleep. But obviously she couldn't, like she was already in panic mode and distress, you know. So she stood up and she knocked like desperately on my aunt's door. And obviously, like, you know, your daughter's knocking on your door, you're gonna be like, what the hell's going on? Did somebody break in or what the hell? So my aunt opens the door and she's like, what? And she's like telling her like what's going on. Like, we're hearing the girl scream and cry, and we could clearly hear he's beating her. And my aunt puts on her robe and she storms out of the room. And then my uncle's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because, like, obviously, like, what the fuck, you know? So my aunt goes to the living room towards the room where they're at, and she starts knocking on the door. Like, and then she's like, are you okay? To the girl. And you could tell, like, you know, when somebody is lying to you. And she's like, yeah, everything's okay. My uncle storms out and goes and gets my aunt. He's like, oh, I'm sorry about that, to them. I could hear him telling my aunt, like, don't do that, don't get into the middle of it, because he could get hurt. I was a very violent man. He was beating his girl. You never know if he would put his hands on my aunt, you know. So I feel like my uncle is just trying to protect my aunt and tell her to stay out of it. And my aunt was like, she's so dumb, like, I'm trying to help her. That's what I get for helping her, you know. Like, I'm already having like a little bit of a discussion with my husband and she didn't want help. Like, what the hell? And you know, when somebody is going through domestic violence, it's hard for them to get help because sometimes they're threatened, they're too scared to speak up, or they're embarrassed. I don't really judge her or anything because she was very young and she was probably scared. She was probably threatened by him. Who knows? Maybe he was the main provider. Maybe she felt stuck, you know? We don't know her situation. And the next morning, my cousin was doing laundry, or the next afternoon, actually. And we saw a shirt of him in the washer or dryer. I don't remember. It was either or. And it was full of her blood. Like, he had beaten her bad last night. And he was just a violent guy. But, you know, my aunt tried to stood up for her. And if she watches this, she's going to remember who we're talking about. Or, well, who I'm talking about. And she tried to stand up for the girl. But the girl just wasn't ready for the help. And hopefully she's not in that relationship anymore. Because I feel like with domestic violence, if guys don't get help to stop, or girls, because, you know, sometimes girls are violent towards their man or men or whatever. So yeah, you know, I feel like it could get really dangerous. So hopefully she's out of that toxic relationship and she's doing better. But yeah, that was the time that my aunt interfered into like the girl she was renting to, because she was getting beat up, but the girl didn't want help, you know. And she seemed like a really nice girl, because there was this one time where I was dyeing my hair, because I used to dye my hair a lot in middle school, and I would always want it more red, more red. Like, I was like trying to have my hair red. I don't know why I was so obsessed with the color red. But she even helped, you know, she gave us some tips on how to dye my hair. She was really nice, so I feel like she deserved it better. But anyways, if you guys want to see more story times, let me know down below and I'll be sure to make more. But thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to, you know, comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.